Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Google Play Music, iTunes, Stitcher, or on our SoundCloud page at soundcloud.com/thedirectorscut. This episode takes us into the funny and dramatic world of the golden age of Hollywood with director Warren Beatty's new film, Rules Don't Apply. The film tells the story of Marla, an aspiring young actress who arrives in Hollywood under contract to the infamous Howard Hughes, played by Mr. Beatty. A devout Baptist, Marla is instantly attracted to her driver, an equally religious Methodist who is already engaged. The burgeoning attraction between the two violates Hughes' rule that no employee may have a relationship with a contract actress, and challenges their religious values as they are drawn deeper into Hughes' bizarre world. In addition to Rules Don't Apply, Mr. Beatty's directorial credits include the feature films Bulworth and Dick Tracy. He was nominated for the DGA's Feature Film Award alongside director Buck Henry for their 1978 feature Heaven Can Wait. Mr. Beatty also won both the DGA's Feature Film Award and the Best Director Oscar for his 1982 film, Reds. Following a recent screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Mr. Beatty discussed the making of Rules Don't Apply with another director and actor, Richard Benjamin. During their conversation, Mr. Beatty describes a typical day on set, tells the story of an unusual encounter with Howard Hughes at the Beverly Hills Hotel that inspired him to make the film, and reveals some of the directorial lessons he learned over his career from Mike Nichols, Elia Kazan, and Robert Altman.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just for a second before we talk about this lovely film, which I've now seen twice, can I embarrass you for a moment?
Please.
Okay. There are two people in the history of the Academy Awards who have gotten for the same picture been nominated for acting, writing, directing, and producing. One of them is Orson Welles. The other one is this gentleman sitting right here. However, he did it twice. And he won the Academy Award for directing for Reds and the DGA Award for the same picture.
Thank you.
This picture, and I had the same feeling the second time I saw it, it is so surprising in so many ways. It is affectionate and loving and something maybe we haven't seen for a while. And it's imbued with such care and insight and wonders of wonders. It seems to be about something else we don't see a lot of. You waited 16 years to make a picture. Don't do that again.
Well,
and
every 16 years.
Oh, yeah, We'll meet here. It'll be fine, yeah. What was the thinking? Listen, everybody that I know for the last maybe 10 or 20 years said two things. They always have the same conversation, which is, what were last weekend's grosses? And is Warren making a Howard Hughes picture? And now here it is, and it's wonderfully surprising. What was the genesis of it?
Well, the correct answer to that is I don't know, but to take a better stab at it, I would say that excuse me, when I was I came here in 1958. And you guys remember 1958 very well, yes? I always, first of all, I would say that I was always very amused by Howard Hughes, you know. Some little things that had happened were kind of interesting. And but what interested me more was what was going on with a kid who would come from Virginia, from the heart of the Southern Baptist Convention, which is still the largest religious organization in the country, and to a business who wanted to be successful in that business, and that business had a lot to do with merchandising. Well, let's say let's call it sexiness. And I wanted to make a movie about the what I would say are often comical consequences, but also can be the sad consequences of what we have to call American sexual puritanism. And I think there were changes that were taking place in the late 1950s with the growth of feminism. I always considered myself a feminist, and then that continued through into the 60s and led to what we now call the sexual revolution of the 1960s. But this American sexual puritanism, which often made us the laughingstock of France and other countries, it's still with us in when we have to be entertained, and it's in this growth of the technologies that we are, I would say, both blessed and saddled with. It comes up all the time with various outrageous scandals when we really should be thinking of more about maybe global warming or something, you know. So I would say that what I tell me when I'm going on too long. My initial instinct to make a movie, including Howard Hughes, was when I came here. I had been lucky, you know, with Kazan. I made my first movie he directed, and the movie was whatever you call it, a hit or something. And then when you're in it, that what makes you whatever you call that. And so
it's called a star.
Oh, thank you very much. I thought you. And so I would say I had a sensible paranoia about privacy, and I really have always sort of felt that a man who is not paranoid is a man who is not in full possession of the facts, you know. And so I was staying at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and I thought some people were, you know, watching me. They were watching out of the next suite. The door was always open, and I thought, this is not good. So I called the desk, and I said who I was, and I said, I want to tell you how disappointed I am that you have allowed the tabloids to be spying on me. And they said, could you hold on, Mr. Beatty? And I said, sure. They came back and said, Mr. Beatty, those people are not with the tabloids. I said, well, then how do you know? They said, well, they're with Mr. Hughes. And I said, Howard Hughes? And they said, yes. And I said, are you telling me that Howard Hughes is in the next suite from me? And they said, well, we don't know. I said, well, what do you mean you don't know? Well, he has 7 suites. I said, 7 suites? And they said, yes. And then confidentially, he also has 5 bungalows. So I thought, wait a minute now. 7 suites and 5 bungalows, that is grounds for a good French farce. And so I knew I wanted to try to make it as amusing as possible, although it is an interesting subject. And that's sort of where it started in my head. But I've always been able to take breaks between movies. I was very lucky. I didn't have to do one after another. And and then but the same thing happened with Bonnie and Clyde, or Shampoo, or Heaven Can Wait, or Reds, or any of those, Bugsy, Dick Tracy, all of they, and Bulworth. Oh my God, that took forever.
Don't you think Bulworth should be re-released right today?
Well, when we get into the subject of distribution and exhibition, that's a big subject that I think is in quite a state of flux. I don't think we have yet accepted what things are going to have to be, because a lot of people don't want to leave the house, and particularly old people. And when I say old, I mean people who are 19. You know,
I don't know any old people.
Yeah, no, I because I'm getting up there. I'll be
Let me
45 soon. You know, yeah.
Let me ask you: did you sit down and write out a story?
No. What I've always done is I kind of map out what I think is going to happen, and then I mean, don't you find, you know, this old axiom that character is plot? Well, then you got to say, particularly in movies, casting is character. So then casting is plot. So very much, you know, and particularly in movies, if there is a certain person in a part, the plot kind of works. But then you're kind of silly if you don't adjust the plot to the character, etc. So you sort of have to do all these things at the same time, I think, before you really get ready to shoot.
So it was evolving, and casting helped you evolve this?
Yeah.
How did you find Alden and Lily?
Well, I had seen Alden and some things that he had done, movies. He had done a thing with Francis, and he had done some other things. And then I went and saw him in a play in New York. He had done, he was at NYU. And I just, from the get-go, I thought, oh, he's the next Han Solo.
Yeah,
and,
right. Yeah. He was great in Hail Caesar.
Just hilarious in Hail Caesar. And then, But both with Alden and Lily, I would say that I was very trusting of what I call the blink, you know, that you know right away, and then you try to deep think it, and then you get dumber and dumber. Well, I trust the blink, and I had that with both the two of them, that they had what would I call it, a level of intelligence and integrity and determination, energy, wit, and a genuine humility in both of them.
Do you think that, I always think that movies can see your soul, they can see who you are. Do you cast for who they are? They seem right for the part, but do you see into them somehow?
I'm going to take a while with that one.
All right. I don't think you can lie. I don't think you can lie on a big screen like that. I think it's.
I agree. Yeah, and yeah. I'm lucky because I never had to cast a movie for commercial purposes.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Because somebody would say this would be great in Europe or something. Cast this person because they're good for the German market or something.
Well, yeah. I've been lucky.
You know, another thing that adds to it is the look of the picture. It's just beautiful, and it's so reminiscent of that exact period. You know, Paul and I were talking about those little hatbox suitcases that they were carrying.
Yeah.
Every single prop, every
Yeah.
little thing, every cinch belt,
Yeah.
you know, a skirt and all of that keep adding up. It's like Frank Capra used to say that it was like a string of pearls, and you know, you couldn't have a bad one in there, then the whole thing isn't worth anything.
Yeah.
But looking at it, it feels like the 60s. Did you and Caleb talk about stuff like that?
Yeah, and Albert,
Albert
Wolski did a great job.
And Janine.
And Janine.
Great.
I mean, they're all kind of faultless,
Yeah.
really. And what I'd like to do is to try to construct what I would call a dialectic in making a movie. Not necessarily, I don't use the word arguments, but dialectic, that someone feels free to tell you when they think you're full of baloney and you're wrong and so on and then you feel free to answer them in no uncertain terms. And so and I think that I always think of Albert and Janine and Caleb as be kind of faultless, you know. But I there were times when I say, "Are you sure you don't want to do?" There was one thing, an idiosyncrasy of Hughes was that he really felt that, in my opinion, that he didn't want to be seen unless he could control how he was seen. And it was possible in those days that's not possible today. It would not be possible to do what Greta Garbo did, you know? And so I think, for instance, in the lighting, Hughes didn't want to be in the light unless he knew exactly what was going to be happening. He was kind of a movie actor, you know what I mean? And so that's very challenging to say, you know, can we have it even darker, you know? And then you remember when they in the 60s when they wanted to say Gordon Willis was terrible because he wouldn't have the lights on, you know, but when you have a good group and who are happy participating in that dialectic, I think you can get a lot done, you know.
Do you lay out your day? Do you know what shots you're going to do? Do you know exactly where you're going and where you want to be by the end of the day?
I would like to say that I do that, but I, of course, don't. I with this movie, I'm on schedule and on budget. Mm-hmm. And I make a shot list, and I think we got to get there. And sometimes you got to get there because you lose the location that day or whatever. But I try to be flexible enough to be happy with surprises that come up and are better than what I had in mind, you know.
What's your opinion of actors knowing lines?
Interesting. You mean, do I think actors should know their lines?
Yes.
Let's do another take on that. I think it's good to know your lines, and I think that, and I like people to improvise, as long as we have what was written. Yeah. But very often, what is improvised is better. But I think it's good to know lines. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
One of the things I like so much of everything in this picture, but they talk with real full voices. There's a kind of weird whisper acting that's going on in films, as if it's more real if you talk, and no one talks that way, and they talk like real people in a real room, the way human beings talk.
You think that's true?
Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
I was say.
Is this all location? Are there some sets?
We had some sets, yeah. But we were pretty lucky to get the locations, and then we had some help with the subsidy, the California subsidy, which was nice. And I think
there seems to be like an overall something about, as you were saying earlier, sexual repression at that time and what it led to, and was it a good thing when, you know, all rules were off, when there were no more rules, or was it good that there were some rules? So you had to...
Are you talking about sexual rules?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think they're off. Mm-hmm. And I think that we still find for entertainment value, basically exposing a scandal here or something.
Yeah.
There. And I was very interested. A few weeks ago, I picked up the Wall Street Journal, and it talked about the campaign between John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson, and one of Jackson's strongest attacks on John Quincy Adams is that he accused him of having had sexual relations with his wife before he married her. Outrageous.
Yeah, outrageous, yeah.
Terrible thing. So I think it's it's something that is particular to America, you know, and to whether we want to go back and look more closely at the Massachusetts Bay Colony or Jamestown, Virginia, we don't know quite what to do, but it might be fun for you to know that. Well, no, I don't. Yeah, no.
Oh, you can't do that. You can't start something.
Well, I was thinking about the validity. Somebody was asking me about things that actually happened with Howard Hughes, and I said, you know, you can't. That actually everything that happens in this movie. Well, what I started to talk about was the scrunching of chronologies, for one thing. The composite characters of Marla and Frank, who are made up of people that I had known, but put together. And then every time I've done a movie that had somebody who lived in it, you know, who had actually lived, whether it's Bonnie and Clyde or Bugsy or Reds, you take all kinds of liberties in doing these things, and then. And finally, and nobody ever complained on those movies, but I kind of was freed up on this movie to say, no, okay, I know this took 20 years to happen, but let's have it happen in two, so we can get to the point. And this quote that I started of Howard Hughes in the beginning of the movie, which is never check an interesting fact. That was something that originally I had three quotes. One was from Henry Ford, who said, "History is bunk." Another one was from Winston Churchill, who said, "History will be very kind to me because I intend to write it." And then I had a quote from Napoleon, who said, "History is a set of lies agreed upon." But when you are doing a movie about somebody that actually lived, you want to kind of be careful and not go against the overall action of what it is that you want to say.
Let me ask you, work with great directors, Mike Nichols and Robert Altman and Kazan. Did you get stuff from them? Did you pick up stuff from them?
Of course. Want to go one by one?
Yeah.
You name them and I'll say.
Okay, Kazan.
Well, he was not only a great director with actors, he really was organized. He knew he had a responsibility to deliver the picture at a certain point, and he knew what he did. One thing I learned from him was never go to the rushes. If you're going to have to reshoot it, then that's a whole big thing. What are you going to gain? You're going to waste an hour. And he was very insistent on 9 hours of sleep. Yeah. And that's the thing. If I had to jump and say the big thing from Kazan, next.
Yeah, Nichols.
Oh, God. Well, you and I both worked with Mike. The biggest thing I got from Mike, be a good audience. He was a great.
He was a great audience.
Yeah.
He almost could kid you into the part.
Yeah.
Great audience. Altman.
Bob Altman was nothing if not flexible. he was an extremely. Did you work with Altman?
No.
No. He was that picture that we made was he'd be shooting with maybe 4 or 5 cameras at once. It was we wrote it as we went along.
Really?
Oh boy. There were 3x5 cards, and then and there had been an original script. I would say Altman is one of the most talented people who would know when somebody had something to offer, and he'd run with that ball. He was very open to improvisation, and he knew talent when he saw it.
Can I ask you a philosophical question?
I don't know.
I thought when I started to direct, the first thing that came to my mind was that I'm going to find out who I am. Did you find out anything about yourself that you didn't know before you started to direct?
I would take too long. That's a tough one for me.
Does it bring out something that you didn't know about, or?
Well, I would relate it more to becoming that thing that you called a movie.
What?
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I remember particularly a moment. Splendor in the Grass had come out, and it was a hit, and so on. And I walked out of the Delmonico Hotel in New York to get into a limo to go to something, and there were a group of young girls there, and there was one girl who just said, "Oh, I can't believe it! I can't believe it! You're Warren Beatty." I said, "Yes, thank you." And she said, "I just can't believe it! You're nothing." And I thought, it didn't even hurt my feelings.
No,
I got into the car and I thought, now there's a learning moment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I think of these realizations about self, I would say it came more when I was acting than directing. When I began to direct, I kind of worked into it slowly, because I think from being a hired actor to being somebody who became a little bit of a guy who wanted to be in charge and wanted to be in a dialectic with a good committee, a good director and a good writer. And honestly, I still feel that. I'd rather be with a group that kind of has the same thing in mind than get off onto some auteur fantasy. I think it's fun when you can kick it back and forth, and you find out when you're wrong, and when people feel free enough to say it. And by the way, I wouldn't limit that to people that are on the set. I would say that's also if you have, let's say, a studio that is interested enough to say what they think. I think that becomes more and more rare.
Yeah. Do you think luck plays a part in this whole thing?
Yeah.
Or do you make your own, do you think?
Well, I think in commercial acceptance of anything, luck and outside factors make a big difference. Would you count that as luck? I think I would.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it in so many fields. What might happen this week nationally might not happen 3 weeks later or 5 weeks earlier. So I think there is a lot of luck in public acceptance, which would also mean commercial success or commercial viability. I think, in other words, outside conditions that you have no control over. That's what I guess I would include as luck.
You made your own luck in Roman Spring of Mrs. Stone, right?
What does that mean?
You went down to Tennessee.
Oh, that's a good. You want me to tell that story?
Yeah, tell the story.
Well, I had made Splendor in the Grass. I got paid $15,000, and I did not have the intelligence to ask for expenses. And so I was a few $1,000s in debt. But suddenly I was somebody who said, "Oh, wow, you're Warren Beatty. You're nothing," and so I came out here and I thought I don't want to play a sensitive young guy, and I would like to do something different. You know, I don't want to be a juvenile. And out of nowhere comes the Roman Spring of Mrs. Stone. This is a thing written by Tennessee Williams, who was Tennessee Williams. And there's Vivian Leigh, who anybody who didn't have a crush on her from childhood would be very unusual. And they said, "Do you want to play this?" And I said, "Yes." He was what would you call him? A male... gigolo, and you saved me on that. And then I was told Lottie Lenya was in the cast, and Jose Quintero was directing it, and it was great. And they're going to give me $20,000. I thought, wow, $20,000, this is great. And I was ready to go, and it wasn't a juvenile, you know, it was a gigolo. And so I said to I said, "This is great." And then I said, "Wait a minute, flag on the play." This is about 2 weeks later, and they said, "We're very, very sorry, but Tennessee Williams has approval of the person who plays this part, and he thinks it should be an Italian. It must be an Italian." And I thought, no, this gives me a chance to do an accent, and I can look Italian, and you know, so I was crushed, and so I decided to take action, and I called Audrey Wood. Do you remember who that was?
Yeah,
Audrey Wood,
great agent. Yeah.
She was a great agent who handled Tennessee, and Arthur Miller and Bill Inge and everybody. And I called her and I said, "Is there any chance that I could go and should I go and talk to Tennessee Williams?" And she said, "Well, do you know him?" I said, "No, I've never met him, and but you know, he has approval of the cast, and he wants only an Italian." So I thought, well, do you think I could go? And I said, "Where is he? Is he in New York?" She said, "No, he's in Puerto Rico." I said, "Puerto Rico, well, he's depressed. A Sweet Bird of Youth didn't go in the way that he wanted it to go. And he's got an ulcer. He's got a stomach ulcer." Okay, so what I did is I got a very spiffy gigolo kind of suit, and then I put on something called man-tan. Man-tan, I won't name the politician that I think of when I think of man-tan, but it was. Do you remember man-tan? It came off on your shirt and everything, and it was kind of terrible.
It came off of everything.
Yes, it's true. And so I flew to Puerto Rico. He was at the Caribe Hilton, and I walked into the hotel and I called Tennessee Williams, and the phone didn't answer. And I said, "Do you have any idea where Mr. Williams might be?" "Well, he may be in the casino." So I went into the casino, and I looked across the room, and it's Tennessee Williams. And he was kind of huddled over a blackjack table, and there was he looked terrible, you know. And so I asked for a piece of paper, and I said, "Could you get me a glass of milk?" My father had an ulcer. In those days, they mistakenly treated ulcers with milk. Mm. And I said, "Could I have a glass of milk?" And I got that. And then I wrote, whatever you say, and then I signed it Paolo. Mm-hmm. the name of the character, and I said, "Could you take it over to that guy that's at the blackjack table?" And he took it over to him, and he reads it, and he looks up, and he sees me, and I'm about as far as from here to there. May I use the F word? Would it be?
It's okay with me.
No, I'll change it. He said he looks up and he sees me, and he says, "All right, you got the friggin' part." And so I then hung around. How do you possibly know about this story?
I don't know. I think it's a great story because that's why I asked you before about luck, because you made your own luck here. I mean, I think we have to do that, don't we? We have to be proactive.
Well,
who else is going to do it? Who else is going to do it?
Yeah, there's something in that.
Yeah,
I had we're having some leaving gone from that story. What other stories have you heard about me that I can tell you?
Oh, they're not for here.
Yeah. I enjoyed this. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this DGA Q&A. Check out past episodes of the podcast by subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts or on our website at dga.org/podcast. We'll continue to have lots more episodes coming your way over the next several weeks, so stay tuned. Thanks for listening. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America. Music is by Dan Wally.